Welcome back to What's the Hype podcast. We are back with episode 5 of What's the Hype.
Man, it's been a while, but today's hype is the top 10 NBA players of all time. Now, this list can be very, very controversial, so we're going to start it off with an honorable mention for anyone who's going to get their feelings hurt. So our honorable mention, we both agreed on this one, that it was going to be Kevin Durant, and our reasoning was we've never seen a player like him in our lifetime, and I don't think we'll ever see another one again. When you have a player with that long of a body and that type of shooting ability and the way he can play like a guard, but he's 7 feet, is just unmatched and unparalleled, and I do not think we will see another generational talent like that ever again.
I know, definitely not. When you have as much versatility as him, you have such a variety to your game when it comes to scoring, to finishing, and defense. Like you just have a lot. There's a lot of opportunity. You have a lot of room to easily be regarded as one of the greats. But like I said, as great as he is, besides him being a snake, these other players do have a little bit of an edge over him. But he also has a good 4 or 5 years left in this league. So depending on what he does with it, he can slide up to top 8 maybe.
Yeah.
But going off that, we're going to just jump right into our top 10. At 10, I got Wilt, the Stilt Chamberlain. They used to call me the Stilt too back in the day.
No one calls it.
Anyways, some people would argue that he's one of the greatest because of the stats, his accolades, 100 points in a game, over 50 rebounds for some odd reason. But I've always said this, and this might be another controversy. I don't think you can count Wilt's stats when you compare the games and the eras that Wilt played in until today's game, or even in MJ's game and all that. There's such a different level of competition to where if an opposing team is allowing one player to score 100 points, you can't count it. That's just my opinion on it, but that's the reason I got Wilt at 10.
I agree with him on that. I got Wilt at 10 too, and you got to put Wilt in there because he's the best of his time. So obviously the best player of his time, you got to get him in the top 10. But if you're going to sit here and tell me Wilt Chamberlain's going to do that against a player like Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, or people like that, I just won't agree with you. No one's ever going to put up 100 on Shaq or Hakeem or the other great all-time centers. But going straight into that, my number 9 is Stephen Curry. Yes, everyone's like, oh, Steph's top 5 now after his 4th ring. I'm a Steph fan myself, but the people I have in my top 5, Steph has not even come close to them in my opinion yet. He has, but when it comes to rings and accolades, he still has a little bit to go before I can put him into my top 5. So I'm going to leave him at 9, but there's not much to be said about this man. He's the greatest shooter of all time. Solidified. No one's ever going to touch him on that. He's also one of the greatest leaders. He's the best warrior of all time. 4 rings, a finals MVP to his name, first unanimous MVP. You got to have this man in your top 10.
It's crazy that you got Curry at 9. I have him a little bit higher than 9 just because I feel like, first of all, he's a little older, but he's still relatively on the younger side, and he still has plenty more to go.
He's still in his prime.
And 4 rings already. Okay? Tied LeBron. 1 off from Kobe. 2 off from MJ. With a cool 3 years left of his super team with the Warriors.
But he still has room to become better. But as of right now,
I feel it.
He's in top 10. But when you compare him to Kobe, you can't because Kobe obviously he has 1 more ring and 1 more finals MVP, but talk about all defensive NBA selections, all NBA selections, all-stars.
Oh, don't get me wrong, he's not better than Kobe.
Yeah,
Anything
like that. He's not in that realm yet. That's what I'm saying. He still has a long way to go before I can put him in my top 5.
I feel it. Well, at 9, I got Larry Bird. Some would argue that he's a little higher. I just feel like with who I got above him, he doesn't quite match up to them. He could arguably be interchangeable with the next 2, but I still have him at my 9 spot. I'm gonna jump into my number 8, and I got the Big Fundamental, another nickname they used to call me by. Emphasis on big. But I got
big trash can, but it's all good.
no, just huge. But anyways, got Tim Duncan at my 8. Again, I feel like these between Larry, Duncan, and this next one I have, they're all interchangeable. I'd probably put Duncan higher, but I had the next person just a slight edge. But all the accolades, the type of player that Tim Duncan was, I mean, no matter what, you have to have him in your top 8. I know a few people who have him in the top 5. I don't think he's top 5 personally, but I think he's for sure top 10.
Going into that, my number 8 and my number 7, you can change them however you would like, because when you think of Magic, you think of Bird. When you think of Bird, you think of Magic. So my number 8 is Larry Bird, one of the greatest small forwards to ever play, the best white boy to ever play, easily, represent.
What about Jacob Burgos?
Yeah, that man tore his ACL. That guy's trash. But Larry Bird is a beast, and that man back in his time was feared just as much as MJ was in his time. And that should tell you all you need to know about Bird. I mean, multiple rings, multiple finals MVPs, league MVPs, all in the short span of about 13 years because of his injuries. But that man is an all-time great. You got to give him his props. Going into my number 7, I got Magic. Obviously, I think Magic's a bit better than Bird. He's probably the best point guard of all time. Actually, he is the best point guard of all time right now. 5 rings, finals MVPs, regular season MVPs, all in another short span of about 13 years because of some health issues. Some health issues, But, when you think of the point guard position, you think of Magic Johnson. Someone electrifying, amazing passer, good ball handler, can score at will. Just an all-time great player.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I got my 7 at Magic. Greatest point guard of all time, he was. But as much as I was a hater, I think Curry's greatest point guard of all time already. It's arguable. It is, but I think on the offensive standpoint, mainly 3. But think about it, in today's game, today's era, that's what the game is. It's three-pointer. You have these kids pulling up from 35 feet every chance they get, and that's a part of their everyday practice. Like, that's just how the game is today, and Curry's just mastered it. He started that. Yeah. And that's something that Magic don't have him on him. He does have a few accolades than him.
He's also 6'9". How are you going to stop that in the paint?
Lucky number,
With a hook shot.
Of course. It's a magical number, too, so, I mean.
Of course.
But yeah, I agree with Magic. Going to number 6, though, this is where I have Curry. I have Curry at my 6, just outside the top 5. I just think he's generational. I was the biggest hater because, just like Tom Brady and the Patriots, you hate seeing the same team win every year, but you cannot deny the greatness. And what Steph Curry has done to the game, he's completely single-handedly changed the game.
Yeah.
And it'll be like that for the next 10 years because all these kids are looking up to Curry. And that's all these kids are practicing. That's all you see anymore. But I just think I think Curry's right there. I think one more ring solidifies him in that top 5. He'll easily slide in there.
I can agree with that. Coming at my number 6, which I'm surprised you ranked him a little low, was Tim Duncan. I mean, you think of the Spurs dynasty. That's probably the second greatest dynasty of all time behind the Bulls. 5 rings. Never. In Tim Duncan's entire career, never missed the playoffs. I mean, when you have greatness for that long, which is about a 20-year span, that's just insane to me. He's easily the best power forward of all time. And when you have someone who's the best at their position, like by far, I feel like you got to have him a little higher than 8 or 9. Tim Duncan, I mean, the big fundamental, unstoppable, man. He was he was 38 and made the All-NBA team. I mean, if you can tell me other players who can do that, it's a small list. It's a really small list. Who?
Isaac Martinez.
I didn't say the All-Sped team. I said the All-NBA team, but it's all good. Maybe you misheard. But breaking into my top 5, where it really starts to count.
Yeah, let's pound it in there.
Anyways, I have Shaq. Probably the most dominant player we've ever seen. The most dominant player we've ever seen in the history of the game, most likely. I'm not counting Wilt. Outside of Wilt, it's Shaq. I mean, 3 rings with Kobe, unstoppable. If Shaq would have worked harder, who knows how much they could have won, you know? Like, their potential was endless. What if I think he might be the second greatest center of all time. One of the most athletically gifted and surprisingly smart players that you'll see. And to be great for so long, I mean, given his body and his skill, you obviously expect that, but to still produce it is really impressive, and you got to have Shaq in your top 5.
My 5, I got Kareem. I think by far he's one of the best all time, obviously top 5. All the accolades, the versatility to his game easily just solidifies him in that top 5 spot. I know a few will probably, or honestly, with my next one too, you could, like, they're easily, arguably debatable to switch, but I'm going to give my next person that slight edge. So with that being said, I got Shaq at 4. All I'm saying is, if Shaq never leaves the Lakers, things go as they were. Shaq has more rings. Kobe has at least 7. Solidifying him as the greatest of all time, because in my heart he is. But, yeah, Shaq by far most dominant player to ever play the game. He's bullying anybody on this list. You put prime Shaq on anybody in today's game, he's dominating them. I don't think we'll ever see anybody like Shaq in the league again.
That's crazy you say about the Lakers, because the reason they broke up was because, one, Shaq was lazy. So when you got a lazy player like that, you get mad. And 2, Kobe wanted to be the man. So honestly, I think their run came to an end when they lost in the 4th finals. I don't think they're going to win anymore after that. But you never know. It depends on their work ethic. But at my number 4, I have Kareem. So ours are basically... I got Kareem. I mean, LeBron's probably going to pass him this year in all-time points, but as of right now, he's an all-time leading scorer, and that record has stood for a long time. And that man was as dominant as you can be in his time as well. I mean, who's stopping that skyhook? No one. No one can stop it. And when you combine him with players like Magic and James Worthy, they're absolute monsters. So you got to have Kareem up there. He's an absolute beast. He's also generational. I mean, all these players are generational, but you just got to give them all their flowers because they all deserve it.
A lot of Lakers in that top 5. But, okay, so at my 3, it hurts me to put him at 3 because I'm biased. Like, I'll be the first to admit it. But I'm going to put Kobe at 3. It hurts me to say that because, like I said, I'm very biased, huge Kobe fan. But, I mean, 5-time NBA champion, 16-time All-Star, RIP Black Mamba. I think all of the mid-range aged NBA players all go look up to Kobe. You know, the Devin Bookers, the Jason Tatums, everybody looks after Kobe. Kobe was a lot of these new NBA players' inspiration to the game. Like, a lot of them copy their entire arsenal of their moves, everything after Kobe. Like, he really left that much of an impact on the game. But unfortunately, I got to put him on my 3, as biased as I am.
Coming at my top 3, me and him basically have the same exact top 3. So mine's also Kobe, but like he said, I mean, Kobe is this generation's MJ. You know, that's who you look at for inspiration, and that's who you want to be if you want to be a great basketball player. Growing up, I mean, everyone who watched basketball watched Kobe Bryant. I mean, you telling me you didn't watch the 81-point game? Like, get out of here. But all-time great player, easily one of the most skilled scorers ever. I think, hot take, he's a more skilled scorer than KD in my opinion. But coming in at my number 2, this is pretty obvious.